All right. First off, if you're new to the channel, new to checking out my content, big fan of the game HumanitZ, however you want to say it, at the core of the conversation. Love the game. They actually just launched a new update, so if you are looking for information on the actual game, I definitely recommend checking it out. I do believe there's a free demo right now, but I tell you about that. I tell you about that update because one of the great things about this game, I came across the game a little bit around about a year ago, and the level of support and continual updates that are happening at the on for this game is incredible. And so, if you're just checking out this video, or if you're just looking at information about the game, I highly recommend it because the devs, it's definitely a passion project. They love it. I've watched a couple of interviews with them now. They got some really cool stuff coming in the pipeline. Uh, Fingers crossed. Hopefully, we get the vehicle mods they've been talking about for a little bit now sooner than later, because that's one thing I get really excited about when I hear Mad Max meets vehicles. That gets me very hyped. So, anyway, but today I want to run through. There's about 11 professions in the game, and what a profession is when you start a new game, you have the opportunity to pick from, I guess, call it a specialty, if you will, right? And so there's about 11 of them. I think some are better than others. There's definitely room to improve and grow, create some new specialties, because I personally always kind of seem to stick to a few that I feel like are just, they're super overpowered when it comes to the rest. And so today I'm going to run through a tier list of what those professions are and how I see them as far as S tier down to D tier. And so some of them are definitely more helpful when it comes to long-term survival, or like later in the game or throughout the entire game. Some are great whenever you're first getting started. So let's run through them, and I'd love to hear, if you have a game up and running, what profession are you using, or what's your kind of go-to professions? Love to hear what it is in the comments. So without further ado, um, the first one up is the Junior Biodiesel Researcher. So this is, in my opinion, definitely S tier in the game, and I say that because if you can get more gas, more fuel cans, and more gas into the cars, and more usage, especially if you like using like the APC or some of the bigger cars, that is extremely helpful, especially in the very beginning and mid game as well as late game. This is a profession that just keeps on giving, no matter what part of the game that you're in. So this for me is definitely going to be an S tier, our first S tier um, ranking. Because again, doesn't matter what part of the game you're in, it is super helpful being able to get that extra 50% gas um, out of those gas cans. So next, the car salesman. So I'm going to be very transparent here. I've actually never used this profession, and I say that because as I've played a couple of different run-throughs now, the one thing that I've always noticed is that I am constantly always have tons of stuff, right? Especially as I get that mid game, I have just lots of stuff on me, and so even if I have to give a little bit more to get something from a trader, it doesn't really affect me too much. So for me, I'm gonna drop this one. Where is the old car salesman? I'm gonna drop this in the D tier. Again, whether it's the beginning, middle, kind of later stages of that game, it just doesn't have a ton of value. And so for that reason, we're gonna bring him down to the D tier. Next, the outdoorsman. So this one I feel like has some potential. Getting more meat from hunted animals is pretty helpful, especially when it comes to feeding your dog, feeding yourself. It's not, on the level of the biodiesel researcher. However, there is a little bit of value there. Especially if you get some traps up and running, I can kind of see it kind of paying for itself. But again, nothing too fantastic. So we're gonna drop that in C tier. Definitely more useful than the car salesman. So I think that's a good place for it. Next, we have the unemployed. Well, I think we know exactly where that goes. There's no skill bonuses, no perks. It is just making your playthrough harder. So we're gonna drop the old unemployed down here in D tier. Um, moving on, mechanic. Ooh, mm, another another definite definite S tier for me. Um, this is another one of those ones where it's like it doesn't matter whether you're first getting started or if you are in the middle of the game, later in the game. So repair kits for cars are kind of pain in the butt to create ish, right? You got to have gears, you got to have screwdrivers, you got to have wrenches, and you got to have car batteries. And so until you're really later on in the game, there's not an abundance of those around. So getting 50% more I guess effective repairs out of those repair kits is huge. And if you drive like me, I drive like an idiot and I hit everything on the road or just cruising around. So my cars definitely get dinged up. And there's sometimes where I have to spend like a good hour or two just going out and scavenging the parts for those repair kits. So mechanic easy for me, definitely S tier. I would almost even say better than biodiesel. No, no. Let me know your thoughts. I definitely feel like those two are the S tier. I don't know if one's better than the other. I definitely think they're kind of the same. Um, so moving on, what do we have here? The emergency medical technician. So this one's tough for me because I could definitely see this being useful. That 25% more effective with medical items is pretty big, especially in the very beginning. The bleed mechanic definitely hurts. It is something that I have personally died to many times in the game, probably more than anything, honestly. Because if I don't have rags on me to stop the bleeding or medic or what are they called, med kits, then yeah, it takes a while for that dot to come off. So I'm actually gonna put medical technician in the B tier because I do think definitely the very beginning, definitely later on. S maybe? I'm gonna go S tier with that. Or not S, sorry, not S. A. No, no. You know what? I think it's a good B. It's a good B. It's a good B. It's a solid B. All right, heading over to Apprentice Gunsmith. So, um, 50% more effective with gun repair kits. So this is another one that, man, I once you get mid late game, I always have an abundance of guns, of all types of guns. So the reality of it is, I don't use a ton of repair kits because honestly, if my AK gets dinged up, I'll switch to a different gun until I find a better AK with more durability. So that's a tough one. If you're maybe playing a little more of a hardcore server, and I guess that is a good point. I am trying to build this tier list based on the average Joe, not somebody that's been playing for a while. So maybe there is some value there. I'm gonna put it in C tier. I think it's not a bad profession, but again, not one that is going to make or break or make your game easier as time goes on. Um, Next, amateur boxers. So I'll be very transparent. This is one that I have never tried. I really want to try it because I love the idea of just taking on zombies with just my fists. And I do wonder if, yeah, man, 300%. That'd be cool. That's something maybe I'll test one day is creating an amateur boxer and then maybe using some melee weapons and seeing kind of what the difference is. But for now, we're gonna drop the amateur boxer. I'm gonna drop him in the C tier. Definitely better than car salesman and unemployed. In the very beginning, you might be struggling to find a weapon, so those first couple of days using your fists and being able to potentially probably one-shot some zombies would be great. Okay. Next, farmer. Okay. So farmer I think is very, very interesting. You get an increased amount of seeds from eating raw vegetables. So here's why this could be kind of useful is as the game progresses, first off, having food, being able to get more like seeds from raw vegetables is very beneficial because you could, obviously plant more, yada yada. Food kind of is a pain in the butt in the beginning. I know I've struggled to get some chow every now and then, but where the real benefit comes from is the potatoes. So if you're eating raw potatoes and you continue to get more seeds, those potatoes, you could create more and more plots to farm and build more potatoes. And those potatoes could be used for fuel in cars. So definitely see some value here. Is it S tier? No. C tier? Potentially. This one may be a little controversial, but we'll drop farmer in the B tier because again, I could see some benefits for it down the road, um, by creating more potatoes so that you can use that for fuel. Food service worker. So 15% more effective with all food items. You know, um, food is again like we just talked about. It's kind of a struggle in the beginning as you're kind of getting things around. With the kind of more recent patches, I love the emphasis on heating and cooling, and the hotter you are, the more it burns up calories, the quicker your food goes down, or your need for food goes down, so you can need to get it back up to 100. So it is kind of cool. I like that. It makes it fun. It makes food, a real kind of core mechanic versus it not being a core mechanic. Because I know previously, before some of those patches, like you go out, you hunt some deer, you cook them up, you're good to go for a while. So getting 15% more, not a bad gig. I would say if this was like 20%, 25%, I think this would be really useful. Um, because having to stop and eat is kind of a pain in the butt. So, hmm, A tier? Do we want to call it A tier? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know, have you messed around with the food service worker profession? TBD. Could be. We'll see. We'll see. I'd love to see more professions too. So, devs, if you're watching this, more professions would be fantastic. Um, and then finally, Sunday Fisherman. Um, Tough one. I understand it. The reality of it is I personally don't fish a lot. If I need meat, I will just go hunt some deer. Not to say that there isn't a need. Obviously fish produces food. Food you can be given to yourself, or I think your dog can eat fish too. I'm pretty sure, but not gonna change your gameplay drastically. And if I had to pick between like fisherman, farmer, and food service worker, they all kind of revolve around food. Outdoorsman as well. I'm gonna pick food service worker. So kind of a quick video. Let me know your thoughts, but definitely see the mechanic profession as well as the biodiesel researcher. Really, that top tier profession that whenever you're starting out any of your games, definitely recommend it. It's a profession that keeps on giving, no matter if you're 1 hour into a play or 100, 200. Being able to get that 50% more out of fuel cans and the 50% more out of repair kits. It's just huge. It's so awesome. Repair kits again, kind of a pain in the butt to create. To kind of recap why that's so important, and then fuel cans. Again, as time goes on, you kind of drain out the gas stations. You're cooking your own fuel in your base. Getting 50% more is definitely worth it. So, um, if you're liking this video and you kind of watched everything, give me a like, give me a subscribe. I love to bring more content for this game. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the new patch. I got some things in the works um, for that new patch. So um, I appreciate a like and a follow, and let me know what professions you guys are using down in the comments. See ya.